Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to give you my review for the 2019 Guillermo del Toro produced horror film Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, a film that is directed by Dahl, and essentially it is the retelling of the classic book series, and I haven't read any of the books, and it focuses on a group of teens who on Halloween night hide in an old abandoned house where they discover a book written by an abused girl many years ago who used to write scary stories. However, they take this book, and what they don't realise is that this book actually is kind of haunted, and whoever has the book, it will write stories about them and the people they know, and those stories then become true, and the beasties and monsters written within these stories will track them down and kill them, and these teens are then got to try and solve the mystery of this book and the mystery of this girl, this haunted girl Sarah, to try and figure out how they can stop themselves getting a story written about themselves. Now, this is a film that I think everybody's been quite hotly anticipating. The trailers looked fantastic. Some of the creatures that we saw in these trailers and stuff just look really creepy. And my understanding is that many of the creatures and the effects that we see in the film are very reminiscent of the initial illustrations in like the books and things, which I'm sure will please fans of those sort of books. And I've got to say, I was super creeped out by this film. I just think when it actually decides to be a horror film, this film, it does mess you about a bit. I mean, it is super creepy. It plays on all your fears. You know, you've got your scarecrows, you've got being like chased. But who hasn't had a dream when they were young or when they're adults of like being chased and you can't get away, and every time you turn around they're there, and you get a story like that from this pale woman in the film that's just horrific. It's just really effective scares, this film. It's not full on gore horror and stuff, it's just really effective horror techniques and horror scares for the majority of this film. And I've got to say, I wasn't disappointed by any of the stories. I thought they all worked really well, and some of the visuals that they give you, some of the sequences and some of the scares that they give you are just really cleverly done, and I was super creeped out watching this film. This film kind of I nearly said fails. I don't think it does fail. I think this is a success of a film in regards to horror. It's like classic horror at its best. I think where this film loses its pace, or whatever you want to call it, or starts being less effective, is the in-between stuff. And you've got to have that, I get that, but when you've got these kids who are then trying to figure out what's going on, and they're doing their investigating and things like that, that's when the pace really slows down, and that's when the film is nowhere near as effective. However, thankfully, those don't happen too frequently, and when they do, it kind of transitions into the next story pretty quickly, and it's quite relentless in its storytelling, this film. And it knows its job in regards to a horror film, and it knows its job is to creep the hell out of you, and it really does it. I mean, some of the most effective special effects I've seen for a long time, without it being disgusting. Sometimes horror just goes for the disgusting shocks and stuff. It doesn't do that, this film. It just the effects, just, they're all different, they all feel different, they all look different, and they're all just as effective. And some people were creeped out by some of the stories more than others. The Scarecrow story was like the first one that we saw, and it was a great start. And then you get the story of the toe in the soup, and the entity chasing down, screaming, "Who's got my toe?" And then you've got the pale woman, and then you've got like the girl with the spot and the spiders. I mean, bleh. really, really gross stuff here going on in this film, and really, really scary, effective horror techniques. And I don't have that many complaints other than the one I've already explained in regards to the pacing and the effectiveness of the movie stops and certainly slows down, and it kind of becomes like a sequence of like exposition scenes and investigation scenes, but it's just really a transition to the next story, and it's almost an anthology film, this, in a lot of ways. It's not filmed like that. It all flows like a normal film, but the stories kind of feel like anthology stories. So I've got to say, I was really super impressed with this film. It's rated 15 in the UK, I believe, but it feels a little bit tamer than your average horror film. I think they probably, you could argue, they could have ramped up the horror a little bit more, just to turn the screw a little bit more on a couple of the stories. They didn't really fully commit here and there. But I've got to say, I think it was a really effective horror film. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I was really creeped out by this film. I thought the visuals were really impressive, and I always know the effectiveness of a horror film, if I go cold and I'm watching it, and there are certainly a couple of the stories in this where I went really, really cold and my fingertips were going cold while I was watching it. So yeah, I do recommend this film. It is as good as people are saying. It's not revolutionary or anything, but it is a really, really effective scare. I just think it probably could have waited till Halloween. Maybe it didn't want to clash with the new It film that's coming out in September, I believe. But I think they could have released this closer to Halloween, and I think it would have been an even bigger hit. So that's my review for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Don't watch it on your own, because it's going to creep you out. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this review, don't forget to click the like button, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time on Screen Stars.